Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And I'm back with part 5 of What If Naruto Was. Rimuru Tempest guys. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. Anime King 2, Anime King 3, Anime Symbol guys. I'll be leaving all of the links down in the description, so go ahead check them out and yeah, enjoy. And also, if you haven't seen it yet, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a Uchiha Bastard over on Anime King 3. And on Anime King 2, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Born 1 in a Trillion, so go ahead, check out that and enjoy. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we jump right into this, begin the intro. So the last part that we left off, Zabuza draw his final breath on the bridge as Naruto saved Haku. When she finally came to, she wanted to kill him, and she did try, but she was unsuccessful. Yes, she failed to do so. As Naruto showed her the final words that Zabuza had said, he realized that if he stayed by her side, she would never have a normal life, and she would end up dying on the job without experiencing what it means to be who she is, what it means to be alive. So yes, he told Naruto to take care of her. As he passed away, Haku was left quiet though, having a lot to think about, truly wondering if this was the depths of Zabuza-sama's heart. As the group returned back to Konoha, Sasuke curious about this situation. Hiruzen was curious as well, but Naruto already made plans and words that she would be, I guess, of the Uchihas for the time being, as he wanted to make sure that she had a home. Given Haku's unique situation, there was no doubt in his mind that Itachi wouldn't be against this. Itachi spoke with Haku alone, having a conversation with her to try to understand what exactly did she desire. Her being confused and not sure. Her words of how she just wanted to understand why Zabuza-sama wanted her to know and experience what she failed to do so, made him allow this to happen. Things were a bit awkward at first, yes, given their whole ordeal and situation, but Mikoto made her feel welcome. Haku even snuck within Naruto's residence as she raised the weapon to end his life there and then. However, she placed it down and left. But even after a few weeks, she still did not know where she fit in. She still did not know how she can just go about everything. As Naruto told her that she wasn't a tool, Zabuza only said that to keep her distance away, emotional wise, as he told her that she was Haku Yuki. Somehow Naruto re-giving her name changed her drastically. Perhaps it was the emotional link between them, yes. Her being so emotionally starved, and Naruto being the one to stand there as an anchor. She latched onto him, and something great happened within that moment. The next morning she screamed. She haven't screamed like that since she was a child, and there was a reason for that. Her hair had turned white like snow, her eyes blue like crystal gems. Kurama went on to explain to Naruto that his mere presence latched onto the girl and changed her, yes. The energy that Naruto released was not chakra, The magical energy went into her system. It was because of her lashing onto him emotionally and Naruto's desire to make sure that she was safe, and it changed her for the better. And he was truthful in his words because Haku was able to manipulate her technique far beyond anything that she's ever been able to do, as she was trying to figure out the depths and how far she could reach in this area. Some time passed as Kakashi heard about that. He was curious and wondering if the same thing was happening to Sakura. Sakura and Naruto had grown really close. Maybe it was his overall encouragement presence that he gave off, being someone to always be there for you, someone to help you in your most dire moments. Sakura had gotten a lot stronger, yes. Her mental and physical skills had surpassed what they normally were. And this wasn't because of Kakashi's training, and he knew that. He signed the team up for the Chunin exams. This one was going to be a special one because the Raikage sent 4 teams there. The strongest one was a team consisting of Amoy, Karu, and Samui. As for Team 7, they venture within the forest. It was pretty easy for them. In fact, they got through first before any other team, surpassing previous records that were there. Naruto himself was curious about something. It was Sakura's growth, as he wondered if the same magical energy was making her stronger. They've grown rather close after all. That could be seen because she was asleep on his shoulder. Yes, at the final day of the exam, she was resting, her head on his shoulder, asleep, completely asleep within his presence. As she herself had no idea when it happened, but they've grown rather closer than ever before. While that was going on, Haku was trying to understand the depths of her abilities. Her chakra was not the same. It was more lucrative. It was completely different, bending and twisting to her will, but it wasn't only that. It was the elements that she wielded to make her eyes as well. Everything about her had grown significantly, and she was trying to find her limit, but so far there seemed to be absolutely none. When the time came, Sakura dropped Ino like it was nothing, showing how much she had grown. As for Sasuke, he demolished Zaku. Zaku did not stand a chance in hell. Naruto went up against Dosu as Dosu tried to use sound waves on him, as Naruto showed that he had a better mastery of that, shocking and surprising the hell out of Dosu. As Naruto came out on top, the 3 Kumo ninjas also came out on top as well, as they would be heading to the finals that would be kept in 1 month. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the place, check of yourselves to begin this new episode. It was just as Naruto thought. From the first C-rank mission that him and Team 7 went on, when he asked Sakura what was her opinion in the matter, on them going towards the land of Wave, it changed something. Yes, it did change something. She gained a newfound respect for him, and that had grown over time. Similar to Haku, but unlike Haku, Sakura did not show any outward changes because it was all internal changes. The magicule that Naruto's body was constantly overflowing with, it came as a desire to those who had great amount of respect and loyalty towards him. He had to feel something towards that person as well for it to even take place. However, over the past couple of months, it had been changing Sakura. No wonder why her physical strength was on a completely different level. However, after the Chunin exams, after she demolished Ino, Naruto just wanted to see how far it truly has reached. Haku stood by his side as the both of them were gazing out towards Sakura as they stood on Training Ground 27, where Naruto had created the waterfall, where Haku had been practicing. Haku's body also took on the magicules as well. It blended with her chakra just like it blended with Sakura's as well. However, in Haku's case, it mostly turned towards her elemental manipulation, allowing her to cast jutsus like spells, as she didn't have to weave hand signs or anything. She had to summon the words in her mind and understood what she wanted to do. But that was just scratching the surface of what she could actually do at the moment. The more time passed, the more she learned, the stronger she becomes. The both of them braced themselves as a humongous amount of power could be felt. All of this was actually coming from Sakura. As she was meditating, she has been doing so for the past couple of minutes, as Naruto has been teaching her how to pull that power out. Now he told her to release as much as she possibly can. Naruto created a powerful barrier so the outside world would not be afraid of what they were feeling. Inside was shaking, the ground underneath her was cracking as she was releasing as much power as she possibly could. The more she released, the more it latched onto her life force and her chakra, strengthening everything. At first, because she had no understanding of this, she was using a tiny amount to strengthen her fists and her speed as well. But now, it was flowing through her entire body, causing great changes on the inside. As her power overflowed, her pink hair waving and dustling all about. As she stood there, her eyes open, she was truly amazed. At first, Kakashi wasn't so sure about allowing Naruto to take on Sakura as, well, a student for the time being, to help her. But after confirming with the man that the same thing happened to Sakura that happened to Haku, Kakashi stepped aside, allowing Naruto to do what he did. Despite that means both of them could actually face each other in the finales. However, given the gap between their strength, Kakashi believed that Naruto would still come out on top. After seeing what he's seen for the past couple of months, he had no doubt about that. What now? Sakura called out to the both of them. "Come at me," said Naruto. "Let's see just how much stronger you have become." A smile graced her features. The ground underneath her feet broke. "You might want to move," Naruto said. Haku jumped away as Sakura's fist slammed into Naruto's palm. Rather roughly, the pink aura around her had took shape after the light of her hair, it seems. He caught her fist in his arm, the ground underneath him cracking as he transmuted the amount of force that she released. "I've never moved so fast in my entire life," she said. "Come on, you can do better than this," said Naruto. "Hit me with everything you got." "Alright, you asked for it," she said, jumping away. She raised her fist before she slammed it into the earth. Sakura had never been a jutsu type, never focused on that area. She focused on the martial arts area of being a kunoichi. It also seemed like she had a knack for water affinity and also medical ninjutsu as well. Not to mention her knowledge in genjutsu, but it seems like the magicules, majority of them, was focused on strengthening her form. That is why when her fist hit the ground, the entire goddamn area erupted in a violent show of power. Electricity discharged from Naruto's hand as he obliterated several large debris that came at him. Once he did though, Sakura lost the aura as she staggered before she fell. However, Naruto caught her in his arms. Haku stood there watching that as she felt strange, but she said nothing about it. "What's wrong with me?" she said. "It's your first time," said Naruto. "Your body is cycling through this energy really quickly. As it's reproducing, your chakra is dipping. It hasn't completely balanced yet," said Naruto. This being the second time it happened, he said, looking over towards Haku. "However, hers is mostly elemental, while you're using your physical strength, therefore, you exhaust yourself a lot faster. But don't worry, we have a lot of time to correct that, and make sure you can use it to the best of your abilities." Hearing that brought a smile to her face. "Thank you," she said. "Don't mention it," said Naruto. "No, you're always so kind, always helping me whenever I need help, not to mention how much time you saved my life." "You're so amazing," she said, as she passed out in his arms. She was much tired than he thought. Having met her parents before, Naruto decided to bring her home, Haku accompanying him. Once they dropped her off, as Naruto remarks, made both Mabuki and Kaizuchi rather happy in their daughter's growth. as the way he spoke about Sakura's talents. Well, Mobuki was looking at Naruto strangely though, but not in a bad way as she wondered to herself. However, she did not voice her opinions at the moment or what was on her mind. Haku on the other hand, Haku was different. Haku hadn't spent much time around normalcy. When she was much younger before her father tried to kill her, she didn't have that much interaction with most other people, so she tended to say things without even thinking that they would sound a bit personal or, well, off-putting to most. Luckily though, Naruto was not most people. She likes you, Haku said. Of course she does, said Naruto. We're friends. No, not like that. Naruto turned as he faced her. As they came to a stop in the middle of the road, she cared for you deeply. Perhaps it started out at friendship, but the more time passed, the more her emotions grew for you. It's not like that, said Naruto, trust me. We're just really close. We have gotten a lot closer, but that's just it. How can you be so smart in other areas and yet not realize what is right under your nose? Besides, it's not like she's the only one that cares for you. Naruto blinked as Haku started to walk. Wait, what? Haku simply walked, not answering anything else that Naruto said. She vowed that she would kill him. She vowed that she would make him suffer after what he had done. However, it was shocking to even her that she's accepted Zabuza-sama's demise. His final words, they brought her a lot of comfort. Him wanting her to live a normal life, to understand what it means to be, well, Hakuyuki, and not just his tool. Those words made her insanely happy, more than happy. So, she started to focus on the life that she is currently living. And from that moment when Naruto gave her back her name by calling her Hakuyuki, telling her that she wasn't a tool, she started to feel things that she never thought she would ever feel, emotions that she never thought that would ever arise in her, but she started to feel them. And now as she looked at him, she realized that she cared for him more than she normally do for someone. And there was only one other person that's been with her for the longest time, and that was Zabuza. And this was not how she felt for Zabuza, but there was just something about him, something that attracts you to him, and she couldn't help herself but think about it most times. However, they were still young. There was no need to rush into anything. Time skip. Naruto sat with Mikoto. So, how have things been going? With all the missions and the training for the Chunin exams, I barely see you, she said. And we live in the same home. I suppose you're right. I'm sorry about that, he said. There's no need to apologize, she said. After all, I know why you're training. Even Sasuke, I've seen him even less, she said. Sasuke was busy training with Kakashi, as the Uchiha has really been pushing himself further and further and further each day. He very much wants to surpass me, said Naruto. I suppose he does, said Mikoto, as Naruto folded his arms. Well, it's not gonna happen. She giggled slightly. Well, brothers are always fighting over who is the better between the two. This was one of the few moments when Naruto could release the weight of everything off his shoulders and simply act his age, despite Mikoto knowing that Naruto was ridiculously overpowered. He spoke to her, despite the both of them haven't seen each other in a couple of weeks now. Well, they have but glimpses, but still, he told her things from his mission, things that always shocked and surprised her. That is why she went to speak with the Hokage. There is something I want to tell you. I know, she said. I was the one that went to the Hokage to try and speak to him on telling you who your father is. And he told me that. He told you, believing that you were ready. And you wanted to be the one to tell me that you knew. Because you wanted to talk to me. Yes, said Naruto. While that was not exactly the truth, it was the best that they could do to not reveal the things that Naruto had done. I'm special, Naruto said. You've seen half of the things I can do. And that is just the smaller part of a few of my skills. I can do more drastic, over-the-top things. Things that will make your head spin. And look at me with a shocked look on your face, unable to actually believe how I'm pulling these things off. The Hokage was quite intrigued by my talents. He wanted me to take the last name Uzumaki and recreate the Uzumaki clan within the Hidden Leaf Village. Wow. He never told me that, she said. Yeah, I want to talk to you about it, said Naruto. If I do take that and become a clan head, that means I'll not be a part of this clan anymore. She chuckled. What's so funny? It's funny that you believe that just because of name. As she placed her arm over him, that we won't always be family. We might not be connected to each other by blood, but in this situation that doesn't matter because I love you like my own son, she said. And absolutely nothing would ever change that. You have a bright future. All of you children do. And I would not be a good mother if I stood in the way and hold you back from that future, she said, smiling at him. Naruto wrapped his arms around her. As they just stayed like that for a moment, as there was a smile on his face, as he sat there in happiness. Time skip. Naruto came face to face with Jiraiya of the Chunin. You were there when I was younger. I always wonder what was your interest in me. At first I thought that you were a pervert that was interested in little kids. What? Jiraiya said. And now I know that you're just a normal pervert, not one that is interested in little kids. You know, I thought you would say you now know that I'm not a pervert at all. Come on. Who are we kidding? Said Naruto. I suppose you're right. So who'll spill the beans about me? A lot of people, said Naruto. But they do respect you to what extent? However, I suppose I understood why you couldn't say anything about being my godfather. You all wanted to keep it a secret. But things are different now. I suppose they are. But I'm having a hard time believing all that I've heard from the Hokage revolving around what exactly you can do. A smile graced Naruto's features. Would you like to see? Little bit of bonding between godson and godfather. That caused Jiraiya to smile. Hour later, the Chunin was no longer smiling. He seemed confused, a bit afraid, and downright terrified. How those two emotions could be there was silly, but yes, they were. As Jiraiya was staring at Naruto like he was some lost artifact or something, unable to understand the schematics or what he actually was. Time skip. The big day finally came. People from all over came to witness the greatness that was taking place. Yes, people from all over came. There were many, even from other villages, using this opportunity to spy on the next generation. Hiruzen Sarutobi was already there when the Kazekage arrived. He greeted Hiruzen. Hiruzen greeted him back. It's a good thing the exams are being kept here. I wouldn't want you to walk all the way to the sand. You seem to be getting tired in your old age. Hiruzen chuckled at his remark about his age. Age is just a state of mind, young one, Hiruzen said. As the Kazekage was rather concealed his features. However, this was not something uncommon, given where he originated from. The sand was always concealing majority of their features, given that the desert was always blowing on high alert. So yes, it was not that uncommon. However, soon after, the Raikage arrived. He greeted both men. As they greeted him back, he had a team within the exams. One team that made it all the way, every single one of their members. However, he expected this, as they were stronger than your average genin, Amoy, Karu, and Samui. The Raikage sat down with his two guards behind him. They were all here to see the exams. Down below, people are still shuffling into their seat. A lot has been placed. A lot of phenomenal people were taking place in the exams. So yes, it was packed with a lot of people. Hiruzen got to his feet after a while as he started to give a speech. Down below, everyone was gathered, including Naruto and his whole team. In the crowd, the Uchihas were there. Haku was standing by as well. There was a 2-month period to see and wait until one become a ninja of the village. All of that was already done for Haku, but she came at a wrong time, as they would have to evaluate her skills to certain levels. Becoming a genin for her would just last majority a week or so, to make sure that it was in the books, before putting her to a Chunin level, as her skills and strength far exceed a normal genin by far. However, they couldn't just make her a jonin like that. There was a demonstration a few weeks back on what she was capable of. At the moment, though, as Hiruzen finished with his talk about the exams, he made another announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen from Konoha," he said. A few years ago, this village was attacked by the great nine-tailed fox. And our hero, the fourth Hokage, stepped in and saved us by sacrificing his own life. Over the past few years, everyone believed that his legacy was gone, done for. The Raikage narrowed his gaze, listening intently. So was the Kazekage. However, I hereby announce to you all that the fourth Hokage had a son, and he's here with us all right now. Everyone started to look around. This was something that was not expected, especially to be announced at the Chunin exams. Both people that were there, one of them in disguise as a Kazekage, the Raikage himself, were trying to understand what was the Hokage playing at. Let me introduce you all to Naruto Uzumaki, the son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, he said. Yes, our beloved fourth legacy lives on. The audience exploded in cheer. As the shock settled in, they realized that one of their greatest heroes that sacrificed everything, that gave everything for them, his legacy was still with them. Pointing Naruto out, as the Raikage voiced his question, "That boy there is a son of the fourth Hokage," he said, having gone toe-to-toe with the man on multiple occasions in the past. So yes, he was surprised. Hiruzen correct his statement. However, something was wrong, the Raikage could tell. Why was he announcing this now in front of those who were not exactly here to wish well for the Hidden Leaf? After all, the exam was about showing who had the best genins, and yet he announces here. This was a big power play, yes it was, to show that Konoha's strength did not waver in the slightest. However, why would he announce this? Wouldn't it be bad for the child's health? For those who wanted the fourth Hokage to roll over in his grave. The more and more time passed, the more the Raikage got suspicious of this act of announcing about the boy here. Something just wasn't right, he thought about it. The Kazekage wasn't much for giving his opinion on this matter though. So with that, the rest turned back towards the Chunin exams. Konoha actually feel stronger. The people actually felt stronger despite most of them not having the capacity for battle, but knowing that their hero genes were still within their grasp, well, it was better for most. Sakura wasn't surprised. Neither was Sasuke because Naruto told the both of them already. And Haku as well, so there's nothing to be surprised about. So with that, the exam began. The first person was Shikamaru versus Temari. Shikamaru actually tried to sneak away within the crowd, but Naruto voiced his opinion on where he was going, causing the lazy Naruto to release a heavy breath as he felt all the eyes on him. As the rest of them made their way up, Naruto looked toward his opponent. His opponent was Gaara of the desert. He gazed over towards the girl with red hair. She would be facing Sakura. Her name was Karu. Sasuke's opponent was Samui from Kumo. That girl was stronger than most. Her skills were refined and sharp. As Naruto was confident though that his team had this lock. Given all they've been through, they were able to overcome these foes that they were placed with. His was not really a question. Not at all. Once the match came to an end after an hour and a half, Shikamaru mostly used in his brain it was Sakura up next. Good luck, Naruto said to her. Sakura smiled. Sasuke wasn't a fan of many words in these regards, but he showed his support by simply giving her one of those powerful head nods of his. As she made her way down there, Karu by her side. They were walking on the same level that they were moving down. You know there's no chance of you winning, right? Karu said. Such confident in yourself that I can't even come close to winning you, Sakura asks. Yes, of course. Because you don't know what I do, and you don't know what I can do. Trust me, I'm leagues above any other Konoha shinobi here. Come on now, isn't that a bit of an exaggeration? No, Kumo ninjas are the best, and I'm one of the best of best. I don't think if you're doing that correctly. What are you talking about? I mean, you're trying to psych me out, right? Like trying to seem like you're something that you're not, so I'll be afraid and do something stupid in the match. What? Yes, that's exactly what you're doing. However, it's more believable if what you say is actually truthful. But that being a plain out lie is really stupid. Karu was pissed off by Sakura's words. Sakura's gotten really confident in herself lately, and she was a lot more outspoken. Not that she wasn't before, but now, more than ever before, against those that pretend that she could not fight, or against those that did not see her as a threat. So with that, both girls were now down there. The examiner asked them if they were ready. With a nod from the both of them, he jumped away. The moment he was gone, Karu dashed forward. There was no hesitation, nothing at all. She wanted to hurt Sakura a bit for her comment. She pulled the sword off her back and swiped. However, Sakura started to evade. Just like how Naruto taught her. She moved back and twist and dodge. However, Karu was going for the killing swipe. There was no doubt about that. She did not like to take insults from others. Maybe it was because of her headstrong personality. Her blade was whipping through the air and slicing and cleaving and slashing. However, Sakura was evading all of them. Sakura's parents were there to witness this. They were worried seeing their little daughter go up against a kunoichi like this, and that sharp blade. When Sakura jumped over the tree by jumping on the branch and flipping over, the blade tore through a branch without hesitation. To show how sharp it was, Karu went around the tree and brought her blade down as Sakura slammed both of her hands together. She caught the blade by slamming her hand together hard. Karu was rather surprised, but she smirked. Stupid girl, she said as she twisted blade to rip it out of Sakura's hand. However, her eyes went wide. Because of the tree in her path, she wasn't able to see Sakura making a clone. This wasn't any ordinary clone. Over the month, Naruto teach Sakura how to manipulate her Magicule with her elemental chakra, allowing her to make an earth clone without weaving hand sign or showing any sign that she did. by simply allowing it to grow from the earth by stimulating the environment with her magic and chakra. However, Sakura did something more advanced. She allowed the clone to cover her, encapsulating herself inside of the clone's body, as she burst out of the stomach area and delivered a vicious punch. Karu's eyes widened as she was sent sailing, bursting through said tree despite how close it was, showing the amount of power that Sakura used. The blade never left her hand though. Sakura then ran and jumped the magicule, twisting around her body. As a pink energy consumer, Karu used the blade as a defense. However, Sakura's heel shattered it. At the last moment though, Sakura moved her feet. It slammed in the ground instead than Karu's face, demolishing the ground right beside her head. Karu got up, trying to jump away, but Sakura was behind her. The girl looked around with a shocked look on her face, but Sakura let the fist fly. Her blows were insanely fast. Kunai and the other Jonins were speechless. They looked towards Kakashi, look on their face as they couldn't believe it. How could he turn this girl into this? And what was that aura? Sakura was from no big clan. She didn't have a special dojutsu or anything like that, and yet, when her blows finally came to an end, Karu was in the wall, unconscious. The Konoha citizens exploded in cheers, especially her mother and her father. To think that a girl like this could reach such heights, a girl with nothing special back in her, it just shows how stronger Konoha has become. The Raikage was not pleased by that. You could see the anger from the man's face, but he resigned and calmed himself down. This was an exam, not a place to get angry. He too having a rather hot-headed temper. As he watched the match took place down below, Karu was taken off to get some help at the infirmary. Sakura looked towards her hands. She herself was surprised. Fighting Naruto was different. He was far stronger than her. Perhaps even far stronger than Sensei as well. However, fighting someone near to her own strength, it surprised her just how much more powerful she was. Yes, she was truly surprised and shocked, amazed by her own growth. When she got back to the box as Naruto congratulated her, her emotions got the better of her as she jumped right on him, hugging him. However, she soon realized what she was doing, as she relinquished herself and blushed, thanking him for all of his help. Sasuke actually gave her praise, as he was surprised. You could see it on his face. He didn't expect that at all. He thought that she would lose or perhaps draw the match or something, but completely demolishing the Kumo ninja. Sasuke was proud to know that she was on his team, yes. Something that he doesn't usually focus on when it came to Sakura, despite the both of them being good teammates for the past couple of months. However, he not really focused on just how much she had grown. And yes, he was impressed. Sakura felt proud of herself and grateful to Naruto as well for all that he's done for her. No longer was becoming a spectacular kunoichi was a goal that was unobtainable for her. On every mission they went on before this, she was always the weak link, always the one that was getting caught or captured, always getting injured because she wasn't strong enough. But now, she could fight alongside them and protect the both of them as well, and that made her feel happy. And she was going to the other round of the Chunin exams. Amoy was the next opponent. His opponent was Neji, and this battle was not going to be a pretty one. The moment it began, Neji was trying to kill him, and everyone could see that. The pain of what he went through with his father and Kumo, them starting everything, Neji was trying to kill Amoy. However, the proctor had jumped in at the last moment when Amoy wasn't able to stand up to the might of the Hyuga. Hayashi figured that it was time that Neji knew the truth, as he saw the way he was fighting in this match. The next match was Sasuke though, and Sasuke was ready. As he had a smile on his face, the other two telling him to do his best. As he was about to make a spectacle, Samui made her way down there, as the both of them stood face to face with one another, neither of them saying a word. The moment the proctor gave them the go-ahead, the match began. Sasuke was actually the first one to move off. His goal was to end this as quick as possible. After all, she was not the target that he wanted to take down. That was Naruto, because he knew that him and Naruto would be at the finals. And this time, he's gonna come out on top. And that was a promise. However, Sasuke completely underestimated her. Something that he knew that he should not do. If Kakashi hadn't been focusing gravely on his instincts and his reaction time over the month, Sasuke would have been gravely wounded by now, but he was able to pull back just in time. She pulled out the kunai so fast. He pulled one as well as they started to clash. The look on Sasuke's face, he was surprised. "You're good," he questioned. "You're not so bad yourself," she said. The both of them clashed all over the arena, showing great skills for their age, until they disembarked away from one another. Sasuke went through hand signs and released multiple fireballs. They were small, compact, and extremely fast. She ran, using great speed to evade each and every one of them, dashing as her blonde hair moved behind her. Sasuke went straight after her as he ran up the wall. He then flipped down and came down. This time the both of them went into taijutsu. Her skills were unique and fast, however, given the fact that he's faced off against Kakashi and Naruto, he was able to predict her moves and clash with her, even without his Sharingan. Itachi smiled when he saw that, yes, showing great happiness that his brother was not just focusing on his eyes alone, focusing on other skills, as Sasuke released a massive fireball. This time she could not block, so she went through handstand and created an earth wall. However, she used the technique to get underground. Sasuke was ready for that though, as he threw down an explosive tag. Boom, she was behind him. Having used the trickery to get behind him by running up the wall and jumping, her kunai outstretched, Sasuke turned and knocked it into the air, when suddenly, her body erupted in lightning. It was a lightning clone. Using the momentum to push himself down, however, he still got zapped. Sasuke landed rather harshly. The real Samui came out and dashed towards him. Her sole intention was to end this, but Sasuke got up and his Sharingan activated. The match changed immediately as Sasuke weaved through her blows. This time his attacks were more precise, more vicious as well. It was their bare hands. Their hands clashed against each other with a vigor unlike any that has been so far. It was a surprise that she was able to keep up, but it showed that she was a truly amazing kunoichi. Win or no win, she would be promoted. There was absolutely no doubt about that. As the both of them separated, her arms were bruised, having taken more damage than Sasuke. Sasuke released a massive attack, a flame that took the shape of a dragon. It hurled towards her as she went through hand sign and she discharged a technique that she wasn't ready for. It was a lightning dragon. However, the discharge, you could see that it zapped her hands and the technique was premature. Sasuke fire enveloped it as she was knocked back, having moved enough to not get burnt. When she looked back up though, Sasuke kunai was right at her face, daring her to move. Realizing that she could not otherwise, it would lead to a bad scar or something even worse. She raised her hands as there was nothing she could do about this. Surprisingly though, Sasuke offered a hand once she gave up, as he helped her back to her feet. He gave her a look. "You're not so bad," he said. In his words, that was high praise, yes. For him to give that to someone That was high praise. You're not so bad as well, Uchiha, Samui said, watching him as he watched her. As the both of them separated, she wasn't that bad off, but she went to get some patch, given that some of her was burned but not that badly. As for Sasuke, just a few bandage to wrap around his arm. Luckily he had bandage on him as well, so there was nothing to worry about. He wasn't about to give up anytime soon. Many were happy about this outcome, having placed a lot on Sasuke. Begrudgingly, they were upset that they did not know about Naruto before now. After all, they would have used that as an opportunity to bet a lot on him. Knowing that the 4 Hokage genes were stronger than any, being able to replicate something like himself would be truly amazing. After a 10-minute break, it was Naruto's time. Sakura wishing him luck, Sasuke telling him to not lose as Gaara made his way down there. Neither of them spoke as they simply made their way. The look on Gaara's face was all that Naruto needed to see. Gaara was bloodlusted. He wanted to slaughter someone. There was no doubt about that. His mother thirst for blood. He heard the announcement. Who else to slaughter than the one that everyone was so desperate to know about now? Perhaps it was because he's been alone his entire life, using that as a catalyst to annihilate anyone that has any semblance of friendship or love, or anyone that give a damn about them. That is why it was his sole mission right here to end Naruto's life. No if or but, just to kill him right here and now. As the proctor asked if they were ready, the audience on the edge of their seat, there was rumors about the Kazekage's son, that he was quite the monster himself, so people were a bit worried, not knowing the strength of Naruto fully, as they didn't want this to be the first and the last time that they saw the legacy of the 4th Hokage. So with that, the match began. Uzumaki, Gaara said, as he stepped forward. Mother, thirst for your blood. Naruto looked at him as he tilted his head. Now that's a rather strange thing to say to someone before a fight. I would understand if you say you want me to bleed, or if I bleed, or something like that. But mother, that's unusual, said Naruto. Or perhaps you're talking about that beast within you. Yes, I do know, if you're surprised, which you don't seem to be. Gaara did not say anything else though. He simply shot his sand directly towards Naruto. However, Naruto blitzed away, as he was now in mid-air, simply floating there. His body not falling but floating. I suppose I should give the people a good show, this being my grand entrance into the new feel of a soon-to-be clan head and a leader of my own. Naruto blitzed back down to the ground. Gaara's sand lashed out once again, but Naruto kept on blinking away with pure speed, dodging the sand. He held his hand out as the sand went down, Naruto capsulating the gravity that was in front of him. As the sand went down to the ground, Gaara simply summoned more sand and shot it towards him, while funneling some underneath. As Naruto moved and dodged, Gaara's smirk as the ground beneath Naruto exploded. Sand erupted like a fountain as it wrapped around him and concealed him. Gaara then raised Naruto into the air, and thus, Mother will feast on your blood, he said. He clenched his fists. However, Gaara was confused as the sand was not squashing Naruto. He clenched his fist more and more. However, the sand started to turn wet and soggy before it started to plop down to the ground. You know, you have a grave weakness, Naruto said. Part of him being seen from the sand that was plopping down. A high enough mass of water and your sand become mud. You think this will make you win, said Gaara. He looked at Naruto with that psychotic smile. You will not win here, he said. I am the only one that will win. I will feed you to Mother, you and everyone that you love. Getting personal, said Naruto. You seem to be angry yet. You don't know me and you want to take my life. There is so much anger inside of you, I suppose. I can understand what you're going through in that regard, said Naruto. However, you're not a monster or anything of the sorts. That beast inside of you is a monster, Naruto said, slowly advancing towards Gaara. Because you don't truly know what a monster is, Naruto said, as he started to release his bloodlust. Gaara took a foot back as he felt it, that overwhelming sensation that felt like it was about to wrap around his heart and squash it. What is this? He said, sweat running down his forehead. He wasn't used to this feeling. Mother, he called out. His chakras surged as a beast's power poured into his system, trying to repel this sensation. Gaara's sand shot out at every single angle, blanketing the battlefield, as it was intended to swallow Naruto and crush him into mincemeat. However, Naruto held his hand up and showing a surprising power that shocked most of the bystanders. He slammed his hand on the ground. Elemental summoning jutsu, said Naruto. Suddenly something formed beside Naruto as the sand approached to kill him. The next moment, the sand stopped, having turned into sludge. Standing beside Naruto was a humanoid being. It was made from pure water. Yes, there was absolutely nothing but water. It didn't have a mouth or face or anything like that. Its body just consists of pure water in a humanoid form with arms and legs. Inside of his chest was a crystal blue orb that seemed to be its life force. Elemental summoning, Naruto was able to craft elements into characters that were able to do his bidding, and this was one of them. The element of water at his disposal. It flew into the sky before opening its mouth. The entire arena was being bombarded by powerful water bullets. Gaara's sand was proven to be useless as it ripped through it. Gaara was hit. He was thrown before he was bombarded. They slammed down on him vigorously. He screamed out in pain as they shattered his shell. The water element then disappeared and reappeared beside Naruto. Pure speed. Everyone was confused, wondering what kind of jutsu was that. Those that were efficient in those kind of things. Never seen that before. The Sanin who was watching this, disguised as he was curious, trying to understand what in the world was that. He spent his life trying to know many things and he's never seen a jutsu like that before. So yes, he was curious. However, Gaara concealed himself with a cocoon ball. His sole intention to be protected from this and to also break free of his limitations and to transform as well. However, the elemental creature beside Naruto started to open its mouth as a tiny blue ball, a droplet of water formed in front of its mouth. However, that was being filled with so many magical energy that the space around it started to bend slightly. As Naruto wasn't planning on just defeating Gaara, he was going to erase him, seen from what the creature was currently gathering, and that water droplet could not be stopped by the sand. However, before it could be fired though, explosions went off. As Naruto turned his gaze as he saw feathers falling. Massive snakes enter the village as Naruto turned the element objective to something else. It fired the droplet. The droplet split and shooted off like a canyon. It split into 3 parts. The 3 colossus snakes that enter the village. It ripped clean through them, not even giving them the time to reverse summon themselves back to their home when they were hurt, because their body was simply torn in half. They were dead as they collapsed. Chaos started to break through around the village. As the box was filled with smoke, the Raikage immediately jumping out along with his guards, while Hiruzen watched as the Kazekage revealed that he was the one behind this. Jumping in front of Hiruzen was one of his shinobis, taking 3 kunais for him. It was a man known as Ryu. As Hiruzen flipped, jumping out knowing that he was the target of this attack, he landed on one of the nearby roof, the Kazekage jumping out as well. However, the 2 ninjas that stood behind the Kazekage revealed to be 4, as they all descended around him, erecting a massive barrier so the Anvus could not get involved. Baki did something to Gaara as his siblings ran away with him as Naruto looked around. Watching as chaos broke out in the village, the water element standing close nearby. A few tried to come close, however, their bodies were crushed. The water element hit them with water so dense, it ripped through them, crushing them on the spot. Naruto was pissed. Immediately his personality switched, as he reverted to that dark person that he truly was. His color in his eyes seemed to fade as well. It's time to get to work, I suppose. The great Kurama spoke, having been speaking to Naruto throughout the exams. Well, Naruto was the only one that could hear it, so. As Naruto looked around, immediately, he started to whisper under his breath. "Harvest Lord," said Naruto, as he placed his hand on his palm and cut it slightly. A single drop of blood span in a wide radius around him. His blood then started to form minions out of it. Creatures as well. Massive. What looked like wolf and dogs combined, with what seemed to be a horn on their head. Massive spiders. All sorts of beasts. Naruto then brought his hand down. "Elemental summoning," he said. Summoning all of the elemental creatures and more. Earth, wind, fire, lightning. Water was already there. The elemental creatures then stepped to each other. Water and lightning combined, creating electrified water and lightning, spawning multiples before they separated. Wind and fire combined, creating infernos, a mixture of wind and flames before they separated, combining their strengths. As Naruto muttered under his breath, "Kill them all," he said. As they descended around, Naruto started to walk. When Sakura jumped down beside him, he turned and faced her. "Naruto, Kakashi wanted you to stop the boy, the Sand One, but Sasuke went after him alone." "Figure," said Naruto. "Come on, let's go." As they made their way, however, the group that Orochimaru had gathered to kidnap those who he found to be useful for his future goals was going after Sasuke. This group was a powerful group. Their first goal was to capture Sasuke before going after any other Uchiha. Orochimaru was a smart man, always making backup plans after backup plans. So, even if he weakened Konoha forces gravely today and did not get the outright win, he could come back and claim what is his. But he couldn't allow for the Uchiha to escape him. That is why he brought this team along with him, so they would be able to capture the boy. This team was a very powerful one. Not large, but powerful. The one that helped him kill the Kazekage was there, yes. It was none other than Kimimaro. There was also someone else, Guren, and a special team that she had picked out. Orochimaru knew that the Uchihas were a threat, and he doubted that there wouldn't be some hassle in his way. Itachi Uchiha was his main problem, and he knew that. So, the others can hold them off while Guren and Kimimaro got the others. He did not really care about the other bodies that Guren had picked out. Guren was special to him because of her bloodline. So was Kimimaro, so as long as they don't die. That is why he brought extra support. The moment they saw Sasuke fleeing out into the woods, they realized that it was their opportunity. However, Naruto and Sakura was right behind them. Having made their way through the broken wall, Naruto went through hand sign and slammed his hand down. The trees in front of them erupted. However, Kimimaro and Gurren were able to bypass them, using their skills and quick thinking. While the others, Gurren shouted at them, "Stop whoever it is," she said. They turned. Sakura looked towards Naruto. "Go, I'll handle this." "What?" "Go," she said. "You have to help Sasuke. He can't take them on by himself. He needs your help." "Have faith in me," she said. A smile on her face despite the numbers that she would have to face, them not being her average weakling. As Naruto nodded to her, he would have faith in her, but just in case. As one of the elemental spirits were quickly heading towards the forest, Naruto knew Sakura's capability. He knew what she could do, therefore he wasn't that worried. However, their numbers and their teamwork, that is what he was thinking about. With that, Naruto took off, immediately besting Gurren and Kimimaro, as he appeared in front of them and immediately put a stop to them. Knowing that they were too close to comfort to Sasuke, who was solely focused on stopping Gaara, the both of them gritted their teeth. However, they were going to cut right through Naruto. And that is where they made their first mistake, as Naruto decided to exercise his power to show them what they were up against before he snuffed them from existence. The moment Sakura felt it, a smile graced her features. It seems she's lost her mind. Renji, a member of the group, spoke, smiling, knowing that she's going to die. Well, if you can't die smiling, then it would be a truly antagonizing death, he said. Sakura continued to smile before her pink aura flared. It exploded around her as she dug as deep as she possibly could. The ground around her started to shake and move. "What the hell is going on?" one of them questioned, looking at the girl. "I don't like this," another one said, with a breather over his mouth. Another one decided to scoff. "She's just a little girl," as he fired missiles that were on his hand towards her. When Sakura slammed her fist into it and burst it to pieces, he was shocked as a fire element landed nearby behind her. Back at the village, "What the hell is that?" Orochimaru questioned as Hiruzen smiled. "You should have done your research before coming here," Hiruzen said. "It's time I make good on my promise that I made you a long time ago, and end this and end you once and for all," he said. Orochimaru was sweating slightly at the abnormal feeling that he was feeling coming from the forest. Something wasn't right back with Naruto, as Gurren and Kimimaro both dashed towards him, believing that this match was going to end in their favor. Well, they were sadly mistaken, as they had no idea how close they were to death. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see this person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.